Welcome back, fourth graders. Glad to be back with you again today. We're starting the last Tiger Rising packet, so we're getting close to the end. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I wish that we could be in a classroom doing some discussions with the book, but we're making the best of it that we can. So we're going to start with chapters 21 and 22 today. And then you're going to need to watch an idiom video. I'm going to teach you a little bit about an idiom today. It's the last piece of figurative language that we've not taught, or I've not taught this year. So we're going to learn about that today. And then on Wednesday, you'll be doing chapters 23 and 24. So let's go ahead and get started with chapters 21 and 22. It says, before you read, misunderstandings can be very upsetting to those involved. Describe a time in your life, or that of a friend, when a misunderstanding made your friendship with someone a little tense. And how did that work out in the end? So I want you just to journal a little bit right there and do a little bit of writing. Think about a time when you and your friends had a misunderstanding, and was that stressful or tense for you, and how did you feel, and how did it work out in the end? Then we're going to get to the questions for chapter 21. How did Willie Mae greet Rob and Sistine at the beginning of chapter 1? I'm going to let you find that one. Number 2, why do you think Rob desperately wanted Willie Mae and Sistine to like each other? Now, when you have a friend, and maybe you have a new friend that comes to school, and you're trying to be nice and trying to be welcoming to a new friend that's coming in from another school, and you really like this person. You introduce them to the friends that you already have, and you probably want them all to get along because you like them all and you want to be with them all. When you get older and you start dating and you take a boy or a girl home to your parents, you're going to want your parents to like that person. It's like a sense of security. He wanted them to like each other because that was really the only two people he had besides his father. The only two people he could talk to, or felt like he could talk to. Okay, so moving on to number 3. How did Sistine define a prophetess? That's part A. And part B, why did Sistine consider Willie Mae to be a prophetess? I think I have that marked. Let me look and see. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to read at the bottom of page 81 from chapter 21. This is it. Here's Willie Mae's advice to Sistine. This is it. Ain't nobody going to come and rescue you, said Willie Mae. She opened the car door and sat down behind the wheel. You got to rescue yourself. You understand what I mean? Sistine stared at Willie Mae, and she said nothing. Willie Mae cranked the engine, and Rob and Sistine watched her drive away. I think she's a prophetess, said Sistine. A what? Said Rob. A prophetess, said Sistine. They're painted all over the Sistine ceiling. They're women who God speaks through. Oh, said Rob, a prophetess. He turned the words over in his mouth. Prophetess, he said again, and he nodded. That sounded right. If God was going to talk through somebody, it made sense to Rob that he would pick Willie Mae. So that lets you know that Rob really thought highly of Willie Mae to say that, but that gets us the answer to part A and to part B. How did Sistine define prophetess? Women who speak through God, who God speaks through. And then why did Sistine consider Willie Mae to be a prophetess? Well, Willie Mae was very insightful, and she was very wise. So that's why he thought that maybe God chose her. Okay, moving on to number 4. What mistake did Rob make regarding the meat that Beauchamp had given him? I'm going to let you figure that one out. Number 5. According to Rob, what was the original green? Now that's in chapter 2, and I have that marked, and that's on page 85, so I want to read that to you. He's thinking back to a time when he's with his mom and dad, and he's lying on a blanket staring up at an oak tree. And it said, His mother had been on one side of him, and his father, asleep and snoring, had been on the other. He remembered that his mother had taken hold of his hand and pointed up at the sun, shining through the leaves of the trees, and said, "Look, Rob, I have never in my life seen a prettier color of green. Ain't it perfect?" "Yes, ma'am," he said, staring at the leaves. "It looks like the original green, the first one God ever thought of." So as they were looking at the leaves in the tree, he felt like that was the first green that God created. Okay, when you get to the back, here comes our language activity that we're going to need to do a little work on. An idiom is a literary device that says one thing, but it means another. Here's an example. You hit the nail on the head. Now, when somebody says that, does that mean they have a hammer and a nail and they're hitting the nail on the head? No, that just means they've got something right, or they finally figured something out. So it actually says one thing, but means another. And we have not talked about this yet. I'm going to include a video on your newsletter that you're probably going to want to watch. It says an example from chapter 22 of an idiom is, "But then he thought of Beauchamp and he held his tongue." So, Rob was sitting there, holding his tongue? No. It says that. It really means that he didn't say anything. He was scared to talk. He didn't want to say anything. It tells you to think of another example of an idiom and record it below. Well, I've got a few that we've talked about in class before that I want to show you today. My first one is, "All eyes on me." Now, that does not mean that I want you to take your eyeballs out and throw them on me. That just means I want, hey, everybody look at me. Okay? Another one that we could say at school is, "I'm all ears." Does that mean I'm all ears? No. That means I'm listening, I'm attentive, I'm looking at what I'm doing. Oh, my dog is about to knock over the camera. Daisy, get down. Daisy, get down. Sorry, guys. Here's another one. "That was a piece of cake." That doesn't mean you're eating a piece of cake. That means that something was easy. Another one I like, "When pigs fly." That doesn't really mean pigs flying in the air. That just means that something is probably not going to happen. And then here's one I like, "Class clown." Who in my class thinks that they're the class clown? Doesn't mean that you walk in every day with a clown suit on. Just means that you like to make people laugh and you're funny. You like to be funny. So watch the video, see if you can come up with some other idioms, or you can choose to use some of mine to write down. Try writing a few down and see how that goes. Then there's an extension activity. Now, you know you guys don't have to do all the extension activities, but this is kind of a fun one. You can do it on this sheet of paper, or you can get another sheet of paper, or it says to do a poster, but you can just use right here on this paper, or a white sheet of paper, or a piece of construction paper, whatever you have at the house. It says, imagine that Beauchamp decides he is going to sell that tiger, and he asks Rob to design a for sale poster that Beauchamp will reproduce and send to a number of zoos in the area. Your task is to design a poster for the project. Your poster should include the contact information, like Beauchamp's name, and the tiger can be seen at the Kentucky Star Motel in Lister. You should also include a colored picture of the tiger and any other information, like a price that you think might be helpful or relevant to potential buyers. So that's just a little something for fun to practice your artistic abilities and your writing a little bit. And I want to go ahead and go over the before you read chapters 23 and 24 question. If you were Rob, would you consider telling an adult about the caged tiger? And if so, who might you tell and why? So if you had a secret, doesn't really have to be a tiger. If you had a secret that you wanted to share with an adult, who would you pick? Who would you tell and why? Okay, guys, that's it for today, and I'll be back again next time. Good to see you guys.